All right, everybody. Good news. We do not have to worry about watching a division rival win the Super Bowl this year. We don't have to worry about it. And let me tell you, that's a win. That is a win for me because we went through this last year. We've honestly been through this quite a few times over the last couple of decades. But yeah, last year, watching a division rival in the Super Bowl, knowing that they were a much better team than their opponent, knowing that they had gone all in to win this season, knowing that the league was going to give them every call down the stretch because they wanted LA to win a Super Bowl. That was not fun. And watching that game, seeing the Rams kind of mess around and not really play to their capacity, knowing that at any moment they could flip the switch and realize that, hey, we can do whatever we want. We're a much better team than the Bengals. And then the whole game they're behind, and you're sitting there thinking maybe they're going to find a way to blow this in ridiculous fashion. And then just in time, basically, they remember, oh, yeah, we can do whatever we want against these Bengals. They're not that good. And watching them win the Super Bowl, that was not fun. I could have done without that. I really would have been happier had that not happened. So we don't have to worry about it this year. Eagles to the rescue. And, I don't want to celebrate another man's injury, especially somebody like a Brock Purdy who has worked really hard to put himself in this situation and then gets it taken away from him for something that he didn't cause, something that he didn't do. I mean, that does suck. On some level, objectively, that does suck. Because if he had gone out there today and thrown like 4 interceptions and failed to, put together any touchdown drives or something like that, then it would be his fault that his fairy tale story comes to an end. But now, it's like, you can't really say it's his fault. It's something that just kind of happened to him, not something that he did. And I can definitely acknowledge that that's sad in its own way, but I will say that I am happy that the Niners ended up losing the game, and honestly, there was very little drama to it. Going into the day, we were all aware of the possibility of the Niners winning, but when Purdy went out and you saw what Josh Johnson had in him, which was not very much, it became pretty clear that there was no way the Niners were going to win, barring like 5 turnovers by the Eagles. And I think you could kind of see that in the Eagles' offensive game plan. I feel like they stripped it down a little bit, ran more simplified stuff, and were willing to accept punts because they knew they were going to win the game anyway because there was no way Josh Johnson was going to put together enough points to win any kind of game. So, yeah, good news, right? We got to have a little bit of good news going into this Super Bowl that doesn't involve the Seahawks. There's some right there. No division rivals in the Super Bowl this season. Nothing to worry about there. And I'll be perfectly honest, I think the result of the AFC title game is also good for us. Obviously, the Bengals are a good team. The Bengals do a lot of things well, but I firmly believe that had the Bengals made the Super Bowl, regardless of their opponent, Eagles or Niners, they would have gotten nuked. That offensive line against the Eagles pass rush with their, what would they have, like 75 sacks this year, or the Bosa Armstead front with all them sacks, with all the sacks those guys can get, I think it would have been not fun. It would not have been a fun Super Bowl. So I like that the Chiefs found a way to win that game. The Chiefs were a team that could take advantage of the Bengals' bad offensive line to an extent, but not enough to cost them the game. But I think that if the Bengals had gone to the Super Bowl playing a pass rush like what they have in Philly, it would have been lights out. So I'm happy it looks like we're going to get a good Super Bowl. And I'm going to be perfectly honest here. I know a lot of Seahawks fans are not going to agree with me, but this is a matchup I can get behind. This is a matchup that I can really get behind. Chiefs and Eagles, I know that there's a lot of, especially in the Seahawks fan base, there's a lot of hate for the Chiefs right now, a lot of hate for the Eagles. I understand it on the level of like the Chiefs used to be our division rivals, but honestly, we're kind of at the point where most people don't even really remember that. We're coming up on 25 years since we moved to the NFC. So, I mean, I remember when they were our division rivals, but I'm over it. And when I look at these two teams, I see two teams that really know how to do things right, really know how to go for it, and I admire it and I respect it. Now, Obviously, I think a lot of people are a little sick of the Chiefs because they're always here at the end of the season. They've won a Super Bowl. They've been to two others, 5 straight hosted AFC title games now. I personally, Andy Reid is one of my favorite people in the sport of football. I love Andy Reid. I think he's an awesome guy, and I think he's a genius. So I will never have any problem rooting for success for Andy Reid personally. But even beyond that, you look at the way this Chiefs team was put together, where they just went, okay, we're going to throw a ton of money at guys like Mahomes, guys like Travis Kelce. We're going to build this offensive line. They basically blew up their whole offensive line last offseason, brought in brand new guys, and let them develop chemistry over the course of a season. And then this season, they were really ready to just hit the road. And then on defense, they make sure they have some guys who can get after the quarterback like Chris Jones and sometimes Frank Clark. And then they just know they're going to have to be a little bit more frugal at some of these other positions. And it's such a smart way to build a football team. And regardless of what your opinion is of some of these players, like Mahomes, like Kelce, I know a lot of people don't like them. I admire the way the Chiefs have approached building that team. They have the superstar quarterback. They make sure he always has at least one superstar target. They lost Tyreek Hill last offseason. It was finally time for them to have to lose a superstar because of the money factors. And it didn't really faze them, man. Mahomes still had an amazing season without having Tyreek Hill. They supplemented their running game a little bit with the addition of Pachinko. And they just let everything else take care of itself. So I admire the way the Chiefs have put together that team. I think that front office has done a phenomenal job giving Mahomes the best opportunity to feast while he's still somewhat young and in his prime. And I personally sit here and I just kind of admire it. And the Eagles, my God. The Eagles had a Super Bowl caliber team, had one bad season, completely blew it up, eating $34 million in dead cap on the Carson Wentz trade, and basically just said, okay, flip it over. Immediately transformed their team into another Super Bowl contender. Like, Super Bowl champs, divisional round exit, wild card exit, terrible season, playoff team, and now back in the Super Bowl. It's just like, that is a team that really understands how to turn the page and aggressively go all in without overextending yourself. They're not afraid to make these big free agent moves. Like recently, what have they done? Like the Hassan Reddick signing, the A.J. Brown trade, mid-season acquisitions of guys like Linval Joseph and Sue. And they know that the cap is going to keep going up. They know that there are going to be opportunities to move off of these players if it doesn't work out. They're not afraid. They're not desperately clinging on to some 9 or 10 win team, knowing that, hey, at least we'll sell out our home games if we're this good. No, they're going for it. And they trust that, hey, if this attempt to go for it doesn't work out, we can flip the page within a season, maybe 2 at most, and then we're on to the next one. So I have nothing but admiration for that. And I think these are the teams that deserve to be in the Super Bowl. They were the best teams in the league pretty much the whole year. And I don't know. I get that a lot of people don't like the Eagles because, you know, Eagles fans or whatever, and they've kind of been one of the best teams in the league for the last couple decades. People are sick of them. But I like this Super Bowl. I'm excited to watch it on Sunday in 2 weeks, and I hope you guys can appreciate that too. All right, see you guys later. Go Hawks. Going to be live on Twitch tonight doing Fire Emblem. Hope to see you there.